cheers.
Cheers.
Coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Bing bing.
Coffee chats. I wanted to. Well, we had it like. How's your week been? It's been a good week.
It's been a good week.
Been a good week. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I've actually got some training in, which
Yeah.
is good
Yeah.
myself. So
Good.
trying to make that balance between, training these guys and
I don't-
actually training myself.
I
is,
actually don't think people realize how hard it can be as a personal trainer to get your own training in. They think
Yeah.
you're in the gym all the time, so it's like, oh, it's easy for you because you
Yeah.
train it.
But I suppose it's a bit like if you almost becomes your workplace.
yeah,
Then it's work, if that makes sense. Where you need to make sure that you're actually
when I used to
you're
work
still
in
enjoying
IT,
it. Yeah.
I didn't want to come home and fix computers when I came home. right?
Exactly.
So it's a little bit like that. But
Yeah.
obviously, it is easy because we probably have the time during the day at some stage, but you might be just sick of those barbells, right? And
Yeah,
you might
yeah,
not
yeah.
want to do it. So
Yeah.
bit of training happening anyway. So
Yeah.
we talked a little bit about during the week. The new doco on Netflix. It's been a bit of a
Game
hot topic.
Changers.
Yeah, Game Changers.
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting. But there's been over a dozen people in terms of clients, etc., come up to me and say, "Oh, what do you think about Game Changers
Yeah.
and things like that?" Now, off the bat, I will say this: that I think any time that anyone's actually thinking about their nutrition, etc., things like that, I think that's a positive thing, right?
Yeah.
Because most of the time, people just eat because they're hungry.
Yeah.
Without necessarily considering what they're actually eating, right?
Yeah.
So if someone is always thinking, okay, well, I'm going to eat for my health, well, surely that's a positive thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, having said that, though,
Yeah.
I'd take the issue is that it's not really a documentary.
No.
Now, in that a true documentary, should probably give two viewpoints, as in, well, we think about this, but there's also this side of things,
Yeah.
and try and have a complete argument. Whereas
Yeah. There's
Game Change,
There's no room for that in that, but
No.
But I think obviously so like some comments on the documentary when I saw online on Facebook or whatever it was, they feel so much better going to a plant-based diet and but most like I'm not saying for everyone, but for a lot of people that would be because they stopped eating a lot of shit, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot of crap.
Yeah.
So you just all of a sudden you could have had that plant base and possibly add some meat in.
And
I'm
have
not
the
saying
same effect, yeah.
if it's for health reasons.
Yep.
And we will have to say this as well. If it's for ethical reasons or environmental, that's a totally different
Sure.
story.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about.
And
We
even
just-
I don't even really have anything, as long as the diet is complete and it's balanced, i.e., protein,
Yeah.
carbohydrate, a little bit of fat, etc. I'm totally okay with veganism and vegetarianism. I think
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
It's more so the fact that the way in which they deliver some of the facts in this, that people then going, oh, well, I need to go out and become a vegan and become a vegetarian.
yeah.
I think there needs to be a little bit more critical thought.
I think I agree. But they use a few examples of the Olympian, the 39-year-old Olympian who was the oldest in that velodrome sport, the cycling ever. However, she possibly could have done that even if she kept eating meat with her
exactly.
plants.
Yeah.
Like so, you can't prove that by one person.
No.
And all the other gold medalists who did eat meat.
And even the thing about the gladiators, the reality is that, like, if you go back in history, gladiators were slaves.
Yeah.
So,
But-
so for a start, slaves weren't necessarily given the most optimal diet.
No.
And the other thing is that you've got to have to think about is that when in previous times you ate what was around you. So in
Yeah.
other words, if you lived in an area that was that had lots of lived on the coast, you ate lots of seafood. If you lived near where they grew lots of plant-based stuff, you're gonna eat lots of
Well,
plant-based.
that's exactly right. But I think also, and I have no idea if this is true, but reading the article and then reaction articles, if you say, about the documentary and the gladiators, there was apparently they actually wanted the gladiators to be fat because it was a better show and there was more blood and they could fight longer because they didn't cut through the fat. That's what
exactly.
I read. So
and the other thing is that a lot of this stuff it's not necessarily science. Yes, there was some science in terms of they did some tests and found that through the bone density, etc., things like that, and the chemical makeup that was found in the bones, that they were more plant-based. Yes, there was science on that.
Yeah.
But outside of that, a lot of it's conjecture. It's archaeologists talking
Yeah.
about how, well, they may have done this and they think that they've done that, but
Yeah.
it's not terribly scientific in terms of that.
No, exactly. And honestly, to me, they mention in the documentary, they never really mention veganism or vegetarianism, right? Like they
Yeah.
talk about plant-based. So to me, my definition of plant-based would be that you have a base of plants or base of vegetables, right?
Yeah.
And then you add protein, which would be
And no
meat,
doubt,
to me.
yeah,
To me, yeah.
and no doubt that we could, I'd say that, all of our members would benefit from
eating more of that.
eating more,
Yeah.
plant-based for sure. I need to eat more.
Saying that though,
vegetables.
like we talked about the broccoli
Yeah.
yesterday, right? So some people can feel crap on broccoli because you get a bit bloated, and it's not necessarily the
Yeah.
easiest to digest for everyone, right?
Well, for me, brassicas, any of the brassicas,
Yeah.
I just can't.
So brassicas. Would what?
So
Like,
cauliflower,
yeah.
broccoli, Brussels sprouts,
Yeah,
they all taste gross.
You
to me.
don't like them.
No. So
But
I
you
have,
might
I
not
have to
necessarily
force
feel-
myself
yeah.
to eat broccoli.
But it could be, for some people they actually don't feel that great eating
Yeah,
too
yeah,
many
yeah.
vegetables. You can feel bloated. So it's easy to, we can say do this and that, right? But according to the documentary, that's like, seems to be the only way. And a lot of
Yeah.
people change their minds about what to eat or how to eat. And I think probably Netflix isn't the right place
No.
it's not, like you said, it's not really a doco.
It's a viewpoint.
No one's going to
Yeah.
watch The Sinner and say, okay, this is how we're going to go.
Yeah.
Can I start killing people?
Yeah, I just, with any of these things, and I think it's, even when we're watching the news, we have to think about it from a critical
By the
point
way,
of
I
view.
try to not watch the news.
No,
'cause,
it's just sad, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always some form of bias that's being delivered to us,
Yeah.
and so I think it's really important to take a step back and say,
Yeah.
have a think about what those biases are, and how that affect their version of the truth,
Yeah.
and what our version of the truth will be as a result of that.
That's
and
right.
it's never black and white, and all these things are always grey, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd hate for, look, everyone should be thinking about their health. I think
Yeah.
that's it's a really important part of living.
Yeah.
But just maybe don't get your advice from Netflix.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway from it.
If you watch the movie, I'll say, not the dog, the movie. If you watch that and think, okay, maybe I need to think about this more, but maybe look up some other
Yeah.
sources of why. And if it is, like we said, we have nothing against the fact that people might, as an ethical, is it called ethical? Like
Yeah.
if you don't want to do it because you feel
Yeah,
for
sure.
the animals, that's a totally different story. Like
Yep.
that's obviously up to everyone and each individual. And the same with the environment, like that could be a thing. I don't know enough about it, to be honest. Like I just don't know. But
Yeah.
if it's for health reasons, I just don't know. If you,
On that though, if someone does watch it and they decide to become vegan or vegetarian, I would highly recommend that they go and see a dietitian.
Yeah.
And actually work through how, because if you're changing your diet that significantly,
yeah,
there's room for you to be deficient in certain areas.
Yeah.
You really have to be quite, particularly if you're super active. I think it's really important that you're mindful of what those potential deficiencies might be.
Well,
So,
the deficiencies is one thing, right? But you got also, you feel protein is satiating. Like
Yeah.
you get full from eating protein. So if you don't have that, like there's, you're gonna have to eat a crap load of lentils to get the same amount of protein as
yeah.
you do from a steak or
Yep.
chicken. Or
and as a
something.
result, calories can go up, etc.
Yeah,
So,
like, and you're not going to feel that good on eating that much. But how? Righto. I think our video cut out full phone. So
Nice.
anyway, so I thought we'd just summarize what we talked about the game changes, and we both agree that you need to just form your own opinion. We talked mainly about health reasons and not necessarily ethical.
I don't think you can argue anything from an ethical standpoint
Yeah.
in terms of, towards animals or the environment. I mean, that's
That's
it's
probably-
irrefutable. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
So for that reason, we don't really want to comment on people's opinion on that. We obviously agree with that, probably.
Yeah,
But
sure.
health reasons, that's the main part of the movie talks about the health, and that's where we think that people need to maybe then, if you do make the decision, go and see someone who knows.
Yeah, go and see
more
a
than
dietitian that
Netflix.
specialises in
Yeah,
vegetarianism
That's
or
right.
veganism.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to make a significant change regarding that, well, then you really have to have a plan and an idea of what's involved in making that change.
Exactly.
But yeah, think critically. I think that's
critically, we didn't. I don't think we talked about already about James Cameron being the director and how he also invested money recently
Yeah.
in a plant-based, or recently, whatever, in a plant-based protein manufacturer to make protein
Yeah.
powders. I don't know.
Yeah, and
but it's a
certainly,
plant-based.
yeah.
So we could see that as either he's gone, I'm investing in this because I truly believe this is the future, and I've got to make a movie about it. Or he's made the movie to possibly
Yeah.
sell more plant-based.
is it financially motivated, etc. Things like that.
Which
Yeah, there's.
he should have mentioned it in the movie.
Yeah,
probably.
I think and this is what comes back to not necessarily being a documentary, but as you say, being a movie, is that you don't see any of those conflicts of interest. You don't, they're not stating those.
No.
And as a result, and there's not a flip side to the argument.
Yeah.
It's certainly just one idea that they sort of ram home towards you.
Exactly.
So
We do also know that if there's a movie or a doco on meat and possibly been funded
Yeah,
by meat
of course.
industry as well.
Yeah.
Kellogg's was a famous one where they made, everyone in the world still believes, or not everyone, but a majority of people still believes that breakfast is the most important meal of the day because of their research they did, right? 100 people did join in this research and this study they did, and there was half of them ate breakfast, half didn't eat breakfast, and then they sent them all to an all-you-can-eat buffet, and they figured that, well, they worked out that the people who didn't eat breakfast ate more at the all-you-can-eat buffet.
yeah. Which is
Which
of
is
course they would,
obvious,
'cause they
right?
were
Because
hungry.
you're hungry, but
Yeah.
also in the daily intake, the breakfast eater still ate more calories.
Yeah.
So for that reason, we talk about, okay, well, if it sets you up for the day, it sets you up for the day. But more to the point is that it was just a study that was directed so that it would suit the company.
Yeah, you can pretty much find a study on anything to make your point across and
Yeah.
everything. The idea is that to make sure to look at the quality of the study.
Yeah.
And look at different studies and get different opinions, etc.
Yeah.
And it's not even just about this necessarily about this documentary, but we should
No.
be critical about whatever we watch.
Well, it's so easy to believe. I
Yeah.
thought the movie was so well made that I could have easily believed it if
Yep.
I didn't know a bit better.
Yeah, I've had family members contact me saying
Yeah.
that they're going to become vegans and
Yeah,
vegetarians.
yeah. So
Yeah, I totally
Sure.
get that.
And for some people, it might be the best choice because it would make them eat a lot healthier. Not necessarily, because I know a lot of vegans are not that healthy. It's easy to eat chips,
Yeah.
right? You can eat bucket loads of chips,
Yeah.
and that's vegan. I'm guessing if it's the right oil and stuff, but it's not necessarily the healthiest diet, right? So it's whatever diet you choose, whatever way you choose, you got to then still look at the
Yeah, and
quality
that goes
of the
back to
food.
what we're saying about
Yeah.
making sure that you're getting some good advice if you
Yes.
decide to go down that path. But
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Well, that was a good
Yeah.
talk. So yeah, good chat.
chat.
All right.
Yeah.
Cheers.
nice one.